What up, people? Happy Wednesday. Kamara Yellis here. I don't know what I just did just now, um, but my screen wasn't on, but I figured it out real quick. So today we are talking about financial planning 101. And before we get started, I always got to say, welcome. This is our Wealthy Wednesday episode of the Financial Rebel Show. And so today we are talking about financial planning. But before I get into this, let me just go ahead and share it out, because what did I do? I didn't share it out. I was supposed to do that. I'm going to have to get somebody to start helping me with these shows, so I don't have to kind of think through and go over everything all by my lonesome. So let's see here. Let's see how I can do this. But as we are getting ready to go, everybody come on in, check in. Let me know if you're here. Give me a holler. Let's see. Got a couple of things here in the way. Jose's in the building. How are you, sir? Welcome. All right, let's see. How can we do this here? I'm not even live on Instagram yet. Somebody give me a sign. But while we're doing that, we saw about the massive loss. We had a big loss this week. Mr. Michael Williams passed earlier. If you don't know his name, Omar from The Wire, Chalky White, many other names that, it's just crazy. But it's shocking, right? Just to see how young people are, how many people that are full of promise, full of talent, divine talent. Like, this man was multi-talented, and his life got cut short, and it's really sad. But I think it's also, I think it's, I don't want to say it's telling that today we're talking about financial planning, because anytime you have a major life event, you have to be thinking about what your financial plans are and how they might have changed due to an unforeseen incident, death, birth, weddings, getting fired from a job, getting evicted, right? Getting sick. So many of those things are upon us right now. It's crazy. It's crazy. But let me keep sharing this out with everyone. But again, everybody come on in. Get ready. We answer questions every week, right? But the topic I'll present on will be financial planning. So this is our financial planning 101 lecture. All right. So just call me Professor Rebel while you're at it. But I wanted to talk about this as we're getting set up, because I see so many of us are talking about the fun and the sexy things. Y'all hear me talk about this all the time. The investments, the crypto, the credit, right? All the fun stuff, all the sexy stuff, all the stuff that supposedly is going to get us to the promised land of finance, that is. But a lot of times we're not talking about the basics. And the basics is what will help you get there, and will help keep you there. So, keep that all in mind. Keep that all in mind as we go through and we get ready to get busy. All right. So I see a couple people in the building already. Jose's here. Miss Edith's here. Don Johnson's in the building. Miss Edith is broadcasting on or watching on Facebook and YouTube. So I appreciate you. You're definitely helping me fight the algorithms. And before we get going, right, do me a favor. If you like the content that I put out, you enjoy it, you find it valuable, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share it with a friend, 2 or 3. All right. So again, today we're talking about financial planning 101. Many of us are not thinking about this. We're just thinking about, how do we get rich? How do we get wealthy? How do we get the bag by any means, shape, form, or fashion? All right. But problem with that is we see a lot of people can get money, far fewer can keep money. Many times, many times people, for example, they hit the lottery and then they wind up broke because, one, they don't have the education, the financial education to deal with it. Two, they don't have the mental stability to deal with it. And so part of having mental stability is having good plans and having a plan to fall back on. All right. Well, what is a plan, right? What is a financial plan? Basically, in short, is what you do with your money. Whether you have insurance, whether you have investments, whether you have savings, whether you have a will, an estate plan, all of those things talk about what will happen in the event that you're planning for, or in the event something that you didn't plan for happens, right? So a lot of times these things can be very, very helpful. So typically your financial plan will include things like risk management, investment management, retirement management, tax management, right? Cash flow management. Here I would say manage, right? And usually in order to manage, you got to have a plan. You need a strategy. And in order to have a plan and or strategy, they're pretty much synonymous. You need to understand some things. You need to understand how these tools work, how these products work, what they can do, what they can't do. All right. It's a lot of things that go into it. But again, what's a plan? What's a financial plan? Financial plan is, how do you handle, allocate, and plan for your money in life? It's how you're going to handle your life as it relates to money. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, well, I want to retire at 75. Oh no, right. People are probably like, no, I don't want to retire at 75. Well, what's your plan look like? You know, what do you want to change in that plan? And so if you thought it out, well, you might say, well, I don't want to retire at 75. I want to retire at 65, 55, 45, somewhere along those lines, right? But you start to take inventory of what's going on. Now, in order to do any kind of plan, you need to take inventory of where you're at right now. How much cash do you have? How much debt do you have? What your investments look like? What your insurance look like? What's your debt look like? What's the interest rate on that debt look like? So all of these things are very, very important because, again, if you have plans to, let's say, again, retire, I'm only using retirement slash financial freedom because it's so popular. But if you haven't done the due diligence to look and say, well, I don't know what I'm going to do when I retire. I'm going to work afterwards. I'm going to be a checkout counter person at Walmart when I get 65. So I don't need to save. I don't need to invest. But then you might take a step back and you might say, I don't want to work at Walmart when I'm 65. So maybe I need to do some other things. I need to make some adjustments. I need to be very good with my money. Things like that. Things like that. Excuse me, y'all. A little parched. Got to get the fluids in here, staying hydrated. All right. So, that's what a financial plan is. Now, you also probably hear, what's financial planning? Financial planning is all of those things plus what happens when life occurs. A car accident happens. you lose your job. You want to buy a new home. Again, you have a baby. So all of these things are kind of interchangeable. And then you might be asking yourself, well, what's a financial planner slash financial advisor? What does that look like? What do they do? Well, financial planner, financial advisor is that independent, unbiased voice, supposedly, allegedly, that's there to help you make these decisions and guide you in these decisions in an unbiased fashion. Now, if y'all been rock with me long enough, y'all know I have a lot of problems with the financial services industry, but that's what they're supposed to do. What they're supposed to do and what they actually do a lot of times, there's a big chasm there. But tonight we're just talking about the basics, right? The theory. And we know there's a difference between theory and application. So, but it's good to know the theory because then you know the way it goes, or the way it should go. But when we deal with real life, when we deal with the application of it, you're like, oh, that's the theory, but that's not how it really works. All right. So we're going to talk about that tonight. All right. Excuse me, y'all. So, as always, right, it's Wednesday. It's Wealthy Wednesday. We are answering questions. I am answering your money questions. So go ahead and throw them in the chat. Go ahead and throw them in the little question mark box on Instagram, and I will get to them as we work through everything, right? But again, today we're talking about financial planning 101. Everybody should be able to create their own financial plan. However, having, again, an unbiased set of eyes and ears to analyze your situation is always a good thing as well. So tonight's not necessarily about for or against financial planners. Tonight is just about understanding the overall process, right? So again, when we go ahead and we look at our financial plan, what do we need? Well, again, we need to take inventory of where we are. What's your cash flow look like? Cash flow is what money comes in and out every day, every week, every month, every year. Where is it going? Now, a lot of us, sometimes me, right, we like to go out and eat a lot, sometimes a little too much. And we give our money away and we're not using it to fulfill our goals and our dreams. So that's why it's important to take inventory of where we're at right now. To say, all right, well, I'm using my money for something else. Quick story. Helping out one of my clients says they want to quit their job. And I say, well, where's your money going? Because your business is making money. By the way, they're a side hustler and they have a full-time job. Your money is going where? I had them go through and review all their bank transactions. Typically, when I was a former financial planner for many, many years, I found that when you ask people what they spent their money on, they don't know. Or they lie to you. One or the other. I choose to believe that they don't know, or maybe they're having a memory lapse. Cool. Maybe they just can't keep up. I always like to have them go through their bank statements and look and see where their money went. I have some clients who take cash out and it disappears. Now, talking about the client I was just referring to, they said they wanted to leave their job. Well, guess what they do all the time? Eat out. They eat out all the time. And they said they eat their money. And them eating their money put their overall priority of leaving their job out of whack. And they spent it on going out to dinner, lunch, whatever it may be. And so once we started going through that, it was eye-opening, right? So again, step one, take inventory of where you are financially. Go through all your records, see where your money's going. I know I'm guilty of this. I have a lot of subscriptions, whether it be Netflix, Google Drive, Dropbox. I got a lot of them. Some personal, a lot of them for business. Sometimes I forget about them. Sometimes I don't use them, just being totally honest with y'all. So it's a total waste of money to keep paying these subscriptions and not using them, not getting my money's worth. But When I go back and I do my bookkeeping and I say, uh, I've been spending money on Netflix and I barely watch the sucker. Maybe it's time to cut the cord. And then I can make that decision. I can take that. I don't know what is Netflix now, $15 a month. It'll probably be $20 real soon. I can take that money and apply it to something else, to my savings plan, to my retirement plan, to a vacation, anything I want, right? But without knowing and acknowledging where it's going, I never have the opportunity to make the decision. Basically, I'm robbing myself of the decision because I'm not going back and again looking at where my money's going. So, step one. Then let's say step one, step two, right? It's kind of in between. What are your goals? All right, let's call this number two. What are your goals? Where do you want to be a year from now, 6 months from now, 6 years from now, 12 years from now? Where do you want to be? And does your current financial situation match up with where you want to be in that given time period? I don't know. That's not for me to know. That's for you to know. All right. So looking at it. So if you say, listen, I want to be debt free and I want to be debt free in a year. And you have $100,000 of student loan debt. And you only make, let's say, average American salary, $50,000. And we know most people spend about 30 to 40, now even 50% of their income on rent or mortgage, but housing, right? Is it really feasible to say I can get rid of all my $100,000 debt in a year's time? So then you say, all right, maybe that's not realistic. Let's readjust that goal. Maybe I can do it in 2 years' time, 3 years' time. That's just one goal, right? What if you have children? What if you have children and you want your children to go to college? Do you start saving for college? Do you look at 529 plans or Coverdale's, or everybody's talking about the Roth IRA and hiring your kids, right? What do? But you want to send your children to college. How old are these children? Are they 18 about to go to college? Well, you really don't have any opportunity to plan then, right? And save in advance. You got to pay for it out of cash flow. But what if they're newborn or soon to be born? And you can start putting money away. Start putting money away now, right? So again, all of these things come into play when we're looking at financial planning, right? So again, number one was, oh man, number one was, what's your financial goals? Number two is what's your current situation, right? Assessing all those things, matching them up with your goals. Make sure that they're in alignment with one another. Now I'm gonna add this one in a little bit because we live in America. Many of us have been trained and programmed to keep up with the Joneses. We don't even realize it. Many of us have been programmed to love McDonald's before we were even born. Make sure your goals are what you really want. Again, make sure your goals are what you really want. If your goals aren't what you really want, then you're chasing somebody else's dream. And then you're never going to be in alignment. Not trying to be too woo woo, right? But it's real. Again, it's like if you wanted to go, I'm in Philly, and let's say I wanted to go to Harlem, but I set my course to go to Brooklyn. Well, I'm going to wind up in the wrong location because my destination was not clear. My map was off kilter. So, with all that being said, just make sure it's yours and it's something you really want to do. All right. Now, within your financial plan, you want to deal with some things. We already talked about goals. We already talked about looking at your current situation, but there's some other things that we want to look at. What's your debt? Do you have debt? Do you have college? Do you have student loans? I do. Do you have credit card loans? I do. Or credit card debt? I do. Are you drowning in debt? Many Americans are. Hopefully you're not, but many Americans are. What are you going to do about that? How do you manage for that? Okay. Financial freedom. Is that important to you? Retirement. Is that important to you? We're going to use them interchangeably today. Financial freedom and retirement. We're going to use them interchangeably today because oftentimes many people use them differently. But the goal is the same. You should have enough money set aside so you can live for the rest of your life doing whatever you want to do. That's the goal. Whether you be 65, 45, 35. Okay. Is it in alignment though? Right. What's your risk management strategy? What is risk management? Right. It's basically looking at, can I deal with a situation and not be harmed by it financially? One of those situations. We just had a tornado one town away. So I have homeowners insurance because I wouldn't be able to come back and replace my home and the contents of my home without that homeowner strategy, homeowner's policy, excuse me. If my car got totaled, I don't have enough cash to just pay for that out of pocket. The roof falls in. I don't have enough cash to pay for that out of pocket. So I have homeowners insurance, car insurance, thinking about maybe disability insurance, long-term care insurance. Long-term care, for those who don't know, is when you're elderly and let's say you cannot take care of yourself anymore and you might have to go into a nursing home. What does that look like? Some people culturally don't even want to think about it. I get it. I totally get it. However, some people, it might be a necessity because everybody is not equipped to properly take care of a loved one. But that's all inside of your risk management strategy, right? So, what do you need? Life insurance. What if for some odd reason you don't make it home tonight and you have a spouse and children, young children? How are they going to continue to live in the way you would want them to live? Do you have enough life insurance coverage? By the way, September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. Keep that in mind, y'all. Keep that in mind. So, how do you deal with those things? Your overall investment plan. Now, yes, investments in retirement are kind of linked to intertwined, but how do you deal with it? What's your plan? So those are many of the components of a financial plan. By the way, what happens? I talked about life insurance if you can't get back home to your spouse or your children. What if you're a single mother? We got a lot of single mothers in our community, and you don't make it home to your kids. Who takes care of them? Who gets the house that you worked so hard for? Estate planning is a major thing, or one of the major components to be thinking about in terms of financial planning. Are your wills in order? I know a lot of y'all like to talk about trust, right? But are your wills in order? Do you have a power of attorney? Do you have healthcare directives? Do you have those things that just in case you can't handle something, somebody else can step in and handle it for you, right? Those are the things you should be thinking about. What's your tax plan? Now, y'all hear me say a lot. You can't have a wealth strategy if you don't have a tax plan. Everybody's talking about getting that bag. Nobody is talking about mitigating the level of taxes, the amount of taxes that we all pay. It's horrendous, but it's something you can do something about. And so that's the thing with financial planning, right? It's being proactive and taking care of the things, financial things that you have the power to take care of right now. Oftentimes we want to wait later on. and we think it's going to be all good, and it's not. All right, and it's not. So those are the things, right? So some of the things, again, I tell folks to do is think about your goals, right? If you need help with somebody, hire a financial planner. Begin to save right away. I recommend everybody have at least 1 year's worth of income and savings. And I know y'all saying, oh my God, that's a whole lot of money. I'll never get there. You take it step by step, right? Save $100 this paycheck, save $100 your next paycheck, get to your first $1,000. If you get a tax refund, put it in your savings plan. If you get a bonus at work, put it in your savings, right? Little by little. I also recommend that people have a spending plan, aka the notorious B word, a budget. So you can plan on where your money is going and coming from. But oftentimes we don't think about where it's coming and going from because as soon as we get it, we want to spend it. The reason why I call myself the finance rebel is because your average everyday financial advice or situation is telling you to be normal. And normal in this instance is just be a consumer. Be loaded up with debt, work for 50 years, retire, and die in, let's say, the next 5. That's about average. That doesn't sound like life to me. But there are these things that we can do called planning, tools, sacrifice, prioritization that we all have power and control over, that we can do something different with our money. All right. So have a budget. If you have children, especially young children, I would say look at having at least $1 million in life insurance coverage, whatever kind that you can afford. A lot of times that will be term. There's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of people have talking my whole life, variable universal life. Um, what's the other one? The other strategy a lot of people are talking about now, infinity banking. A lot of people talking about infinity banking. But you want to just cover the basics, right? As you start filling in your plan. If you work at a job and you have a 401k and it matches, you will be cheating yourself drastically if you don't contribute to that 401k plan. Forget what all these goofy so-called self-taught gurus are teaching you on LLC Twitter, S Corp Instagram. Most of them don't know anything, or they're just trying to sell you something. They really don't have your best interest at heart. Studies have shown there are plenty of people who become millionaires just by dollar cost averaging or just saving systematically into your 401k plan. I've worked with a lot of them. My first $1 million client came from a 401k plan. It works. It can work. Now, you can be more aggressive if you want. Nobody's telling you not to be aggressive. Nobody's not is never telling you not to be aggressive about getting after your wealth goals, your money goals, your richie goals, richie rich goals, right? Nobody's saying that. But I am saying take advantage of the tools you had at your disposal. Other thing I tell people is that if you work at a job, please read your employee manual. Oftentimes there's benefits in there that you don't know about, whether it's discounts at certain stores, right? Whether it's a lot of times people can get life insurance for really, really cheap through their group plan. It works wonders if you just do the basics. Yeah, seriously. Not flashy. You're not your rapper or your actor, actress, or celebrity. Just average people, everyday people. Right. Raina C. Jones says everyday millionaires. Yep. you can take control of those things, right? But again, make sure you're maximizing the benefits that you're getting from your job. Nobody talks about that. That ain't sexy. I know. I know. I know you're probably getting tired of me talking about that. But take advantage of those things, right? Also, live beneath your means. Again, live beneath your means. Again, live beneath your means. I hear so many people, the first thing they do is they want to go spend money because it's a holiday or it's a birthday and they've worked hard and they just want to go blow it. I had a conversation, I'm not going to say with who, but they wanted to plan a trip for their birthday. But they're telling me they want to do all these other things. And I'm like, that's not in alignment with what you're telling me you want to do. There's nothing wrong with it. They want to travel. I love the idea of traveling. I think there can be a lot of personal growth that happens. However, you also need to live within your means. And if you have these great goals that require money to fund them, that you work hard for every day, you have to ask yourself, do I want to take this trip now and sacrifice starting a business, sacrifice not leaving my job? Is the vacation really worth it? So you always have to go back and say, self, is this really what I want? Does this really help me get to my goal? Does this really help me fulfill my dreams? Right? You have to ask yourself that all the time. All right. So those are things I would suggest. Also, again, tax planning. Everybody's a tax plan. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, right? You might say, I paid way too much money in taxes this year. I should put more money into a 401k. Or I'm a business owner. I made profits, I paid taxes. Maybe I should repay some of my expenses in the begin or before the year ends. Because listen, after December 31st, you really don't have any other alternatives about tax planning. So now is the time you should be locking in talking to your tax professional, not in February of 2022, not in March of 2022, not in April of 2022. If you get the tax season, it's too late to be doing some tax planning. There's a couple of small things you can do, but nothing monumental, nothing really concrete, as if you started right now today and said, I want to reduce the amount of money I give to Uncle Sam today. So it takes forethought, y'all. It takes planning. It takes strategy. It takes some education. Okay. It takes a lot. So that's, financial planning 101 in a nutshell. It's thinking about what you have, thinking about where you want to go, right? Thinking about the gap in between where you want to go and what you have now. And what do you need to fill that gap? That's what it is. And then it's also education, right? Because I talked about it a little bit at the beginning. There's some people who call themselves financial planners, financial advisors, and all they really are glorified salespeople. And there's no distance being salespeople. Everybody's a salesperson. I'm a salesperson. The question is, are you ethical or not? A lot of them are not. So you got to try to avoid them as much as possible and find people who really, really, really want to have your best interest at heart and pay those people, right? Pay your tax advisor for doing your tax plan. Pay your financial advisor for doing your financial plan. It's important. What you get, right? Oh man, what's the saying? Um, I can't think of the saying. Hey, Forever Hungry, how are you? Oh man, what's the saying? What's the saying? I want to say garbage in, garbage out, right? You get what you pay for. That's what I wanted to say. You get what you pay for. And yeah, you can find some good gems. I believe I give out a lot of good gems here for free, right? But This is just the bottom of the barrel. You got to go deeper, and to go deeper, you got to pay somebody to go deeper. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I see I got a bunch of questions. If anybody has any money questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments. Throw them in the chat. We'll get to it. Let me just see here. I saw there were some other comments as well. So Raina C. Jones said, everyday millionaire. Raina said, yes, you should be investing in your 401k and the match the company gives. Absolutely. All right, Forever Hungry's here. B Barbie 2. Nashima Mac 80. I hope I said your name right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Let's see what's going on the YouTube side of things. Oh, wait a minute. My homegirl, my sister's in the building. Newman's here. What's up, Nicole? How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. The Forbes is here. What's up, brother? How are you? Welcome back again. Can B says meaning 100% equity. All right. Ken, I think you got a question. So let me go back to the timeline. All right, Jose's here. Miss Edith's here. All right, Don Johnson's in the building. Miss Edith's here again. All right, give me a second, y'all, as I go through all these. Miss Edith is being a good role model. She's a good rebel today. She liked and shared. So thank you for that. Everybody else, please like and share as well. All right, Jose says, where do we start with coming up with a financial plan? Is it just emergency savings? Now, I think I went through it, Jose, but I just saw this question. So it's definitely emergency savings. It's what you need those emergency savings for. I know a lot of y'all like kid me because I say you should have a year's worth of cash in the stash. I'm not a rapper. But I say that because you never know what the unexpected is going to be. I was saying this before COVID hit, y'all. Then COVID hit. And then those who had cash did well. They were able to thrive. Plus, when you have more cash in the stash, it helps you get into debt. A lot of people wind up finding themselves in high debt because they don't have the savings or the cash to pay for emergencies. Your average American can't handle a $400 emergency. And it's kind of silly to go into debt paying 21% interest, or let's go back, 16% interest. That's the average credit card rate. 16% interest just to pay a bill or debt. Doesn't make sense. All right, and I will look at all those other things, Jose. Again, savings, college, retirement, or financial freedom, risk management, insurance, right? What do you need? Debt, how are you paying it down? All of those things. Don Johnson says he's 45 and done. God bless him. Listen, Don, I'm praying that you make that day and get to live peacefully in your retirement or your freedom years, whatever we want to call it. Was 100% debt free until 2 days ago. Okay, what happened? Did you buy something? Did you buy a yacht? What happened? Come on, Don, talk to me, baby. TB, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm shocked Nicole's here. All right, Nicole says she's giving herself 3 to 5 years, I'm assuming, to retire. All right, Jose says I got to either increase my current policy or add a second policy. Yep. Yes, wealth mentality is proactive. Absolutely. Wealth mentality is not a reactionary thing. Unless you are a silver spoon baby and they don't count. They are in the minority. Most of the people that become millionaires did it from the muscle. They hustled. They worked hard. Now, some people have better life circumstances than others. Some people come from a family where they left the home. They might have been left some money for school, left some money at the time of death, right? And they might have gotten a leg up in life, but it's not millionaire status. All right. So Camby says, when you say a year's income and savings, do you mean having it in a savings account or can it include investments? So Camby, I'm going to pick on you. right? Because I get that question a lot. It can be in a mattress, in a can, or in a savings account. I would say a savings account. Now, I'd say that, right, because everybody's always worried about what kind of interest rates, and I'm picking on you, can be. So I'm not saying this is you, but worried about what kind of interest rate they're getting in their bank account. And some of these slicksters, I'll say, man, you need to put your money into this investment so you can get more money, so you can beat inflation. All the while, you don't have that $400 I was talking about to deal with an emergency. What difference does the interest rate or the investment rate matter if you can't deal with an emergency? Because as soon as something hits, bang, you got to cash out of your investment, which is going to cost you opportunity cost, right? Possibly taxes to handle this thing, or credit card debt, right? So it doesn't matter. But for today's example, let's say a savings account. Let's say a savings account. And here's the thing. Once you have it, you won't worry about all the other stuff because you'll know what to do to figure out how to maximize it. So I'm saying that to say that if you had a year's worth of savings in a savings account, it would change a lot of things emotionally, mentally. It changed a lot of things. Second of all, if you got it there, then you're going to say, all right, I got too much money in cash now. What am I going to do? But the first goal, first things first, is get the cash. Get the cash. All right, Don Johnson says, great question. All right, Jose says, I wouldn't necessarily put my savings and investments as liquidity. Those assets may mean you're not giving that money time to grow for you. Maybe, maybe, right? But none of us really quantify the value or the ROI of emotional peace. I want y'all to tell me, what is the ROI of emotional peace, of mental peace? Again, a lot of times we're worrying about the wrong stuff. No diss to you, Jose. No diss to you, Can. Right? But here's the goal. The majority of us are nowhere close. The majority of us don't have $1,000 in savings. Let's get the first 1,000 and then we can talk about the rest. All the rest is just mental gymnastics, right? It doesn't really matter. Now, yeah, if you want to learn about different investments now, yeah, that's cool. But what work are we putting in today? And a lot of times I meet a lot of people that get confused by all this. They said, but Kamar, you said this, and Kamar, you said that. Here's the thing. Number one, everybody's situation is going to be different. Number two, everything's got nuance or details. You got to check in with the context. Again, everybody's situation is different. So you can't just rely on one thing. Cookie cutter financial plans don't work. Again, cookie cutter financial plans do not work. All right. Nicole says, thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Live beneath your means. Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, living beneath your means doesn't mean you have to be a miser living in a cave. But here's the thing. Those like y'all, everybody, look at the fire movement. Look at some of the principles of the fire movement. And I'm not saying that you have to be extreme, but some of them folks are saving 50, 60, 70% of their income. I asked that question on a show a while ago. I said, could you live off of 50% of your income and save the other 50? A lot of people were baffled by that. But there are people who are doing it. Here's a clue. Here's a clue. Every time you get a raise, don't go buy something new. Just keep living the same way that you were. Keep living the same way that you were. There's a thing called lifestyle creep that kills all financial plans. You can be making $50,000 a day. Get a raise tomorrow. Now you're making 55. Guess what? You're still living. You're you were once living like you were making $50,000. Now you're living like you're making 55,000 when you should, in actuality, still be living like you're making 50,000. That extra five should go on the stash. Stash, savings account, stash can be an investment account, right? There's levels to this, y'all, right? And I can't give y'all individualized recommendations because, again, that's cookie cutter. I'm never going to be the guy that say, pay off all your debt, only buy term life insurance. Why? Because it's a lie. It's wrong. It's not right. It's not right at all. Some people actually should get whole life. Some people should use that. If you notice, right, those who are very, very good financially, have financial discipline, can put money on credit cards, pay that bill off, and get reward points. Now, I don't talk about it a lot because I know most people don't have the discipline to do it. And so if I'm talking about that, right, again, putting all your money on your credit cards, getting reward points. Again, reward points turn into cash at some point. So you're getting paid to get on the credit card. You're not incurring any of the interest because the credit card companies know that most of y'all don't have any discipline and they're going to get you for that average of 16% every month. Well, annualized out of the year, right? They're going to get you for that 16%. And they're going to continue to make themselves and their board members and their investors and their families rich. Credit cards are a trap. But if this is a big if you have the discipline, you can freak it. Again, most people don't have the discipline. So I want to have real conversations with y'all. I don't want to have pie in the sky conversations with y'all. I had a mentor, God bless him. He used to say to me, I ask a lot of questions. I do. Kamar, what are you going to do with that? Are you just asking for the sake of asking, or are you going to put it to use? Because if I'm just asking for the sake of asking, I'm really wasting everybody's time. If I'm going to put it to use, then it's a different story. So good questions matter, y'all. Good questions matter. All right, so Ken says, I was just trying to clarify because 1 year's worth of savings seems a lot. It is, unless you have 100% investment portfolio. No, but see, here's the thing. A lot of us forget about what happened in 07 and 08, 09. A lot of us forget about what happened in 87. A lot of us forgot about what happened in February and March of 2020. A lot of us have forgotten about what happened in 1929. So yeah, you can put all your money in an investment portfolio because you think it's a lot of money. But again, what's the ROI? ROI stands for return on investment. What's the ROI of emotional peace, of mental peace? What's the ROI of knowing that you should be able to be good almost no matter what? No, I got you, Ken. I got you, Ken. Right. So these are the questions we got to start asking ourselves, y'all. These are the questions we got to. And again, everybody's financial plan should be different. There is no hard and fast rules. You know what the hard and fast rule is? What works for you? So yeah, if you're good with having 100% of your cash in the stock market and you don't care about the swings in the stock market and you don't care about flash crashes that have happened in the stock market, then sure, history will tell you you might not want to go that route. History will tell you might not want to go that route. But if you're feeling froggy, then jump. Now, I'm going to share a little trade secret with y'all. We are in a bull market, an unprecedented bull market. People are formed by the environment and times that they lived in. And so if you just started investing and all you ever have known is a bull market, you're not ever really going to think about a bear market or a market that goes down or a market that goes sideways. So I would suggest many of you go back and look at the history. It's all out there. And don't just do 5 years. Don't just do 10 years. Don't just do 20 years. Don't just do 50. Go back 100 years. Look at the ups and downs of the stock market and how it goes and how it flows. Uh, I don't know what I did was great, but thank you. Listen, Nicole's my sister, so she be beating on me all the time. She's been beating on me for about 15, 20 years now. We have very spirited conversations. All right. All right. For anybody that just joined, you're watching the Financial Rebel Show, the Finance Rebel Show, excuse me. Saying my own show name wrong. The Finance Rebel Show. Every Wednesday, 8 p.m., we do Wealthy Wednesdays. I answer your money questions, whether it be taxes, stocks, real estate, business. I've worked in all of those sectors somehow, some kind of way. I answer them all here. All right. I'm glad you're loving it, Nicole. That means a lot. That means a lot. What about, how you been, man? You must have been working. All right. Walter's in the building. How are you, Walter? Romaine, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Pay off student loans. Don Johnson says, just brought our first home. They approved me for $600K. And hell no, I didn't use nowhere near that much. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? Shout out to Don Johnson for being financially prudent. He got approved for $600K, didn't use it all. A lot of people, and Don's been on here. Don's been saving. Don's been investing. So I'm sure he's got some money, and I'm sure Don got some VA stuff too going on. So he probably could afford it, but didn't want to do it. All right, so he got a mortgage approved, $600K. He didn't use all $600K. Shout out to Don Johnson. That's dope. All right, TB says, I got 1 year saving. I'm trying to have 2 year savings. Nothing wrong with that. Again, it's not cookie cutter, right? I'd say 1 year as a goal to work up towards, because most of us ain't got nothing. We ain't got a pot to piss in nor a window to throw it out, y'all. I'm just keeping it real, right? That's your average American. And if you like me, you're black, and in the black community, it's 100 times worse a lot of times. So how much do I save? I save about 20% out of every invoice that I get. I'm self-employed. And that savings just saved me recently, by the way. Now I got a whole other problem. All my appliances are going to hell. Right. Mental peace is priceless. Mental peace is priceless, y'all. So again, just because you got a year's worth of money and savings doesn't mean that it always has to stay in savings. I talk like that now because most of us don't have anything. And I want to get the point home that savings are important. Savings could literally save your life. Literally. All right. Under what circumstance would it be a good idea to get a whole life? Dale, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. There's a lot, right? You got to understand life insurance. You get cash value with whole life. Prices don't go up. Term prices do go up. The money in whole life grows tax-free. There's a way to pull it out tax-free. Again, it is Life Insurance Awareness Month. I would encourage all of you go and do a review of all your life insurance policies. There's other strategies out there like infinity banking. Infinity banking is not for everybody, but it works for the right people. I got to get Curtis Megan on. We can talk about that a little better. All right. So it really depends. I'll say this. Let's say you're a high figure earner, 6-figure earner, doctor, lawyer, entrepreneur. It might make sense for you to have a whole life policy. Even if you're not, but that's just one scenario, right? It might make sense just for the tax benefits, right? Again, everybody's situation is different. It's different, but it would definitely be something to look into. All right, what was that? Put it to use. Okay. Put what to use we talking about, Romaine? We talking about cash? All right. Nicole says 07 and 09 was horrible. Yes, it was. People really thought the sky was falling. Ms. Bolden and Khadija C. Drop, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, B. Barbie has a question. B. Barbie 2 has a question. What do you think trading options is getting such a major push now? Now, everybody wanted to teach on how to trade options. Well, there's a couple reasons for that. People like to fly and sexy. Everybody wants to be fresh, fly, and bold. Everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses. Nobody really wants to really look at the basics. But the basics will really set you free. Because if you have good basics, you can always go do all the fresh stuff, all the fly stuff, all the bold stuff. But first things first, it's like a baby. You got to learn how to walk. Before you learn how to walk, usually you crawl or you scoot. Babies don't usually just go and jump to a marathon. There's a whole progression there. And if you do, usually there's something or someone that gets hurt somewhere, some kind of way. Now, if you've been, I'm kind of older, right? You see these things happen. In 07, 09, they were advertising Forex like crazy. You'll see anytime there's major confusion, they're advertising gold, right? Now we're in an upward bull market. Options have been all the rave. And there's nothing wrong with options. I love me a good leap. Matter of fact, I got some leaps in Webull that I can't get out right now that I need to get out. But I think a lot of people want to do it because, again, they want to do something sexy and they haven't learned the basics of the stock market. Same thing for all these social media gurus. Everybody is now a trader or an investor. I mean, I've seen guys who have great platforms, right? Their influencer status. They've been traveling all around the world. Now today they're teaching people how to do stock. They just switch their pitch up real quick. And I mean, listen, everybody has the right to change, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I just don't like it when people do something for 5 minutes and now they deem themselves the expert. So I find it interesting. Sherwin 1906 asked, when is the best time to use an S Corp? When you're profitable. Nobody should be thinking about an S Corp unless you're profitable. That's what I say. Again, you got these people out here talking about S Corps. What's an S Corp? S Corp is a corporation, right? S Corp is a what's the term? Small company type corporation. It's meant for shareholders of 99 or less. C Corp is unlimited. But again, people like it because you get some tax benefits when it comes to self-employment tax. Self-employment tax has to be paid by people who are sole proprietors on the profits, right? People who are sole proprietors, people who are also who have LLCs, solo member LLCs. So I would say once you're profitable, if we had to give it a range, right? I would say anywhere from 50,000 in profits, securely in profits, right? Not a whimsical, I got lucky, I made 50 G's this year. Not a whimsical, I got lucky. I made 100K this year or more. It's solid. It's repeatable. It's predictable. It's going to come in every year, month in and month out. That's when I would start to look at it. And then as a business owner, you shouldn't make any decisions, even for our personal people, talking about financial plans, without crunching the numbers. Never make a financial decision without crunching the numbers, personal or business. Now, you can do it in your head. You can do it with a calculator. You can do it on your cell phone, but crunch the numbers, please. Kitchen CJ32, welcome. Stacy, hey Stacy, how you doing? All right, let me get to the rest of these questions. I gotta get my vittles, y'all. Got to get my vittles. I was hungry. Oh man. Yes, some of us were babies in 07. All right, and Stephanie says it stays down for years. Hey Stephanie, how you doing? All right, good, Nicole. Nicole is tax planning for 2022. Everybody should be tax planning for 2022. Hey Katisa, how are you? The Forbes says, so how much money should I put in the stock market? It depends. How much you got? What you got? Can you start with $25 a pay? Right? I recommend everybody, if you're just starting, start with dollar cost averaging. That's basically what people in 401ks do. Every time you get paid, pay yourself first, invest some money in the stock market or your 401k or something like that. Oh, yes, Romaine. Yes. But, a lot of people just ask questions just for the sake of asking questions. And there's nothing wrong with being inquisitive. Me, I'm like newsy. I had to make myself stop. All right, the Forbes says, do you believe in a long-term or option? Are you talking about long-term options or leaps? Yeah. Listen, for the most part, there are no financial products that are bad. Typically, there are financial products. There are people who do not know how to use financial products and thus have terrible financial strategies. So it's important to make the distinction. Camby, do I have any advice for new real estate investors? Yes. That goes back to why you need a year of cash. Former property manager here. I used to manage about, I need to count, somewhere between 35 and 40 doors. I would say if you're brand new, buy your own piece, buy multifamily, house hack first, right? House hack first. Get used to the idea of having tenants. Get used to the idea of budgeting your money. Get used to the idea of doing scheduled maintenance, right? Don't just wait till something breaks down when you are a real estate investor. Those who do scheduled maintenance tend to do better over time, in my opinion. Right? And learn the market you're in. Learn the market you're in. Network, right? Don't be in a hurry. Learn how to price, right? When I say price, if something needs to be fixed, how much does it cost? Some people will rob you. Some people will try to get you for bad. Find you some good mentors. Where are you at, Ken? What city are you in? Gomsarilla. My bad if I messed your name up. And Ryan S. Chief, how are you? Okay, so the Forbes says yes. Yeah. Long-term leaps are fine. Long-term options are fine. All right, you're in the DMV. Okay. There's a couple people I can introduce you to down there. My man Eddie Colson is down there. He's a wholesaler, but he also does rental property. I'll definitely connect you with Eddie. Um, there's a couple other people off the top of my head I can't think about, but really immerse yourself in the market and don't be in a rush. Don't be in a rush. Also know that if you are doing real estate, do it. Do it when it's good and do it when it's bad. Don't just be a fair weather real estate investor and say, "Oh, I'm a real estate investor because it's a great market right now." Find deals when it's good and bad times. There's always money to be made, and you got to approach it like that. You got to approach it like that. I would say this too for new real estate investors: keep good records. Why? So you can pay your taxes and not overpay your taxes. Taxes suck, y'all, and a lot of us just hand over our money to Uncle Sam without any thought. And this whole country was supposedly started, because of taxation without representation. And here we have the ability to do tax planning, not tax cheating, not tax evasion, tax planning. And many of us don't do it. We just give extra money away. We pay taxes on cash, cell phones, sales tax on clothes, sometimes food, right? We got federal, state. If you're in Philly, you got local. You're being taxed out the wazoo, right? And please don't take this as me saying you shouldn't pay your taxes. I ain't with that life. I ain't got time to go to jail. I don't believe in taking penitentiary chances. We've seen too many of us that have done that, and it doesn't make sense. That's not a good financial strategy. So it doesn't work for me. All right. All right. Ryan says, what are my thoughts on probate property and abandoned probate properties? Um, in terms of buying them, investing in them. In terms of investing, they can be great. There's a lot of people who have properties, air property. They don't want it. They don't want to be bothered with it. It just sits, oftentimes overgrown with grass, unattended to, and it will be better in the hands of somebody else, or somebody who really cares. Yeah, it can be good. It can be good. Sometimes you can get them at a discounted rate because, again, the heirs didn't do proper estate planning, right? They didn't have a good financial plan. That's why it's probate property. I'm not a lawyer, right? But what's probate? Probate is when your estate, everybody has one, winds up under the authority of probate court. And that usually happens when you don't have a will. All right. Now, a lot of times you still have to go through probate, but having a will makes it go much, much faster. And your registered wills, or whoever is over that, whatever territory you're in, will have to be directed by the will. Probate, though, is um, uh, when people don't have a will and there's no direction for those assets, the real estate, and then people can come buy them, or sometimes they sit vacant. And when they sit vacant, sometimes people break into them and they squat, live there for rent free. Bar Marley B, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Smart girl, J Dre, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, any other questions, real quick, before we get off? Can send me an inbox. And you're in a community too. You're amongst other investors as well. So I'm sure you have some people to get help from also. But if there's no more questions, right? No more questions. Listen, y'all, every day we're able to do some great things. You got to make a decision to be great, though. Don't just be average, right? Because average is being a glorified consumer. Rebel, do something different. Decide to take control of your life, right? And when you rebel, you consciously say, I want something different. So today, rebel. I'll see y'all next time. I appreciate all y'all being here. I'm always humbled that everybody's here. If you have any show topics or anything going into the Financial Rebel Academy, you can find that on Facebook. Again, just search Financial Rebel Academy. Go in and say, Kamari, I would love for you to cover X, Y, and Z. And I'll be more than happy to do it. Over the next couple of weeks, though, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some life insurance and into financial planning as well. All right. So, again, I will see you all next time. Everybody have a great night. So long.